They came from the dark edges of the galaxy, a force so relentless they were whispered about in the oldest star charts as the flame beyond time. The Orcs' dominion swept through the cosmos, leaving nothing but scorched ruins behind them. Entire civilizations vanished in a blaze of destruction so absolute that survivors questioned whether their enemies were even alive or some cosmic firestorm given form. Their warships, massive and ominous, burned through planets like kindling. Resistance was never expected to last. Empires crumbled before a single Dominion fleet arrived, and their name became synonymous with extinction. Worlds once vibrant with life were reduced to glass and ash. The Dominion did not conquer. They eradicated. No treaties, no negotiations, no prisoners, only annihilation. Galactic governments spoke of them in hushed tones, sharing stories of entire star systems extinguished overnight. Attempts to rally coalitions against the Orcs' dominion had all failed. Their weapons harnessed energy unknown to most species, weapons capable of incinerating entire continents in moments. No technology, no strategy had ever slowed them. They were not just a threat, they were a force of nature, a plague that burned through the stars. When Dominion scouts finally detected Earth, it was regarded as an insignificant, barely noticeable blip in their vast conquest map. A primitive, isolated planet with no interstellar technology, no armies capable of meaningful resistance. Earth was catalogued simply as Target 923D, marked for swift cleansing. The Dominion considered this planet a trivial afterthought, a low-risk victory to demonstrate their might before moving on to more significant targets. The first ships arrived in Earth orbit, massive and bristling with destructive power. They were met with something unexpected. Earth did not surrender. There were no grand fleets waiting, no advanced weapon systems charging up in defense. But there was something in the human response that surprised the Dominion: defiance. An unyielding refusal to bow or beg. The humans, so alien in their simplicity, sent one clear message: come and try. The Dominion laughed at this perceived arrogance. But they underestimated what it meant to survive as a species hardened by millennia of adversity. Earth had faced extinction-level disasters, climate shifts, plagues, wars that shaped its people into something different. Humans had evolved through fire and chaos, forging resilience from hardship. Their strength was not in technology or firepower, but in their unbreakable spirit and willingness to endure what others would flee. The Dominion assumed they would crush humanity quickly. The first bombardment began. Energy beams sliced through cities, incinerating millions within seconds. But instead of breaking, the planet's defenders adapted. They employed tactics that no galactic power had ever faced: guerrilla strikes, clever traps, and an almost reckless bravery that defied logic. They used their planet's environment against the invaders, turning forests, mountains, and underground tunnels into deadly battlegrounds. Though Earth's weapons were crude compared to Dominion technology, the humans fought with ferocity and cunning. They did not rely on overwhelming power but on relentless adaptability. Each defeat sharpened their resolve. Each loss became a lesson. The Dominion was encountering not just a planet of creatures but a force that refused to be extinguished, a species that took every blow and struck back with something worse. For the first time, the Orcs' Dominion hesitated. This was no ordinary target. Humanity was not naive or weak. They were a species forged in relentless struggle, capable of surprising cruelty and profound endurance. The Dominion's confidence began to crack. What had once been an easy conquest now promised to become a brutal war. A war that might change the course of the galaxy forever. The Dominion's first strike was meant to be decisive. Their warship loomed in orbit, a titan armed with weapons designed to obliterate entire cities in moments. It began its assault without warning, targeting major population centers with precision fire. Skyscrapers melted into rubble, communication networks fell silent, and millions perished in the first hours. The Dominion expected Earth's defenses to crumble instantly, to fall silent beneath overwhelming firepower. Instead, what met their attack was resistance unlike any they had encountered. Earth's militaries lacked the advanced energy weapons and AI-driven tactics common across the galaxy. Their technology was primitive, seemingly outdated. But what humans lacked in sophistication, they compensated with brutal ingenuity and raw tenacity. They turned their environment and their limited resources into weapons, improvised mines, makeshift EMP devices, and guerrilla squads operating in underground networks. The Dominion ship, confident in its superiority, found itself caught in a web of unpredictability. Humans deployed decoys that mimicked fleet signatures, confusing the ship's targeting systems. Electronic jamming disrupted communications and sensor readings. Swarms of drones, crudely built but flown with fierce precision, harassed the vessel relentlessly. What should have been a one-sided massacre became a grinding battle of attrition. The humans fought with a desperation born of knowing that failure meant extinction. They embraced sacrifice with an eerie calm. One attack, coordinated with near-suicidal precision, saw human fighters strike the Dominion ship's most vulnerable systems. With no regard for their own survival, they triggered a fusion device at point-blank range. The explosion tore through the ship's hull, and the vessel was lost in a blaze that lit the night sky for thousands of miles. Before the final blast, the Dominion pilot's last transmission was chilling. "If you brought hell," he said, voice trembling, "we'll send it back with interest." Those words echoed across Dominion command like a warning. Something about humans was beyond their comprehension. This was no ordinary species. They fought not just for survival, but with a kind of grim pleasure in their defiance. Within Dominion ranks, confusion and fear spread. Analysts struggled to understand a species that seemed to thrive in chaos, that weaponized pain and loss as tools of war. Humans did not fight like other conquered species, who sought peace or submission once the odds were clear. Humans escalated conflict, using every setback as fuel to become more dangerous. The Dominion was facing something new, a species that made war its crucible and emerged stronger each time. They began to rethink their approach. Earth was not just a world to be destroyed, it was a puzzle to be solved, a threat to be contained. But even as they studied human behavior, the Dominion couldn't shake the growing dread that this species was not only unpredictable but perhaps unstoppable. They had entered a war that did not follow their rules, where victory was not guaranteed by firepower alone. The Dominion's pride turned to caution. Their vast fleets, once assured of quick conquest, now approached Earth with hesitation. The fight was no longer a formality. It was a brutal test of endurance and will. Humanity, underestimated and dismissed, was becoming something the Dominion feared more than their own weapons. The message was clear: Earth was not just fighting to survive. It was fighting to become something far worse than anyone had imagined. Earth's retaliation was swift and fierce. From mining vessels, cargo ships, and refitted civilian crafts, humanity forged a ragtag fleet, far from the sleek warships of the Dominion, but deadly in their unpredictability. They launched relentless attacks on supply lines and communication hubs, striking where the Dominion least expected. The ships were slow and clunky, but manned by crews driven by desperation and a savage determination to fight back. Each strike was a message. Earth would not go quietly. But the battle extended beyond physical weapons. Humans mastered psychological warfare with brutal efficiency. They broadcast intercepted cries of their fallen comrades back to Dominion fleets, a haunting reminder of the cost of aggression. Warning beacons broadcast graphic footage of destruction and sacrifice, shaking the morale of even the most hardened Dominion troops. Hackers breached Dominion systems, inserting ominous messages, taunts that grew steadily darker, promising a vengeance beyond their enemies' worst nightmares. The Dominion found themselves facing an enemy who not only fought with weapons but wielded fear as a weapon. The psychological toll was staggering. Troops whispered of the human curse, a relentless spirit that refused to break. The humans did not just resist, they provoked. They turned every defeat into a warning, every scar into a promise of more to come. Meanwhile, on the scientific front, humanity adapted at a staggering pace. They engineered viruses designed to target the unique biology of the Dominion soldiers, turning their own bodies against them. Human scientists worked in overdrive, reverse engineering Dominion technology within weeks, weaponizing captured systems to use against their former owners. Each battle yielded new tactics, new weapons, new horrors. The Dominion watched in horror as Earth's soldiers began to wield Dominion plasma rifles and energy shields, their crude adaptations turning the tide in small but significant ways. Where the Dominion expected submission, they found escalating resistance. Humanity was not merely defending, it was evolving in real time. Every loss taught a new lesson. Every encounter sharpened their instincts. This rapid evolution unsettled Dominion command. Secret meetings grew frequent, the mood tense. One admiral voiced the growing fear. They are not defending their world. They are testing how fast they can take ours. What had been assumed a mere nuisance was proving to be something far more dangerous. A species that not only survived hell but learned to become it. The Dominion's greatest error was underestimating humanity's capacity for adaptation and its willingness to escalate. The humans did not just endure. They thrived amid chaos, turning pain and loss into tools of war. They embraced their own flaws, fear, rage, desperation, and refined them into strengths. The longer the war dragged on, the clearer it became. Humanity was something the Dominion had never faced before. For all their technology and power, the Dominion was now outmatched in a way they could not quantify. They faced a species that fought not because it wanted to conquer, but because it had no choice but to become more terrifying with every blow struck against it. Humanity had stepped out of the galactic shadows and into a war it never asked for, but one it was destined to win, not with superior arms, but with an indomitable will that grew stronger in hell's own fire. The Dominion's final gambit was their most feared weapon, a planet-killer AI core designed to erase entire star systems with ruthless efficiency. They deployed it with the certainty that no species could withstand such power. But humanity responded not with surrender, but with a stealth assault unlike anything the Dominion anticipated. Using salvaged Dominion technology and their deep understanding of their enemies' weaknesses, humans infiltrated the core's control systems. They turned the AI against its creators, igniting chaos within the Dominion's ranks. The destruction was swift and absolute. The AI, once a weapon of annihilation, became an agent of collapse. Dominion fleets found themselves attacked from within, their own technology sabotaged in moments. Paranoia consumed the Dominion High Command. Trust dissolved as commanders accused each other of human collusion. Fear of infiltration drove whole fleets into silence rather than face another encounter with Earth's forces. One Dominion general, broken and disillusioned, defected and delivered a chilling confession. You cannot fight an enemy that thrives on being underestimated. The humans had become more than just warriors. They were an existential threat, an unpredictable force that turned the Dominion's own strength against them. Humanity did not seek to conquer the galaxy or enslave its people. They did not claim victory through dominance or control. Instead, they left a message on every world the Dominion had destroyed. A simple, brutal warning etched in the ruins of their enemies. It read, "We did not want this. You came to our home. You brought hell. We brought us." The galactic community took notice. Fear of Earth spread not because of raw power, but because of what Earth became when pushed to the brink. Humans were not apex predators by strength or numbers, but because, when cornered, they transformed into something far worse than their enemies ever imagined. To those watching from the void, the lesson was clear. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered or controlled. They were a force of nature, unyielding, relentless, and terrifying in their resilience. When the flames of war touched them, they did not burn. They became the fire itself, consuming all that threatened their existence and leaving a warning that echoed across the stars. This was not the end of the war. It was a beginning, a testament to what it meant to survive against impossible odds. The Dominion's legacy of destruction had been matched and surpassed by something far older and far more dangerous: the indomitable spirit of humanity.